Hello and welcome to Jessie Bear Book Club, the only book club where we don't always talk about books. But today we are. We are discussing Victoria by Daisy Godwin, the book that I believe the TV show was based on, or was it the other way around? This book starts with Victoria's accession straight away, with the prologue explaining her restricted childhood. Victoria is acting like a normal teenager given her freedom and pulling away from her mother, who is simply a bit overbearing. Her mother's favourite, however, Sir John Conroy, is a brute and a bully. Victoria's relationship with her Prime Minister, Melbourne, is simply nice at this point, and I don't think too much more about it. Victoria is simply finding out who she is and what she likes. Everything from what fashion she likes to what bedroom she wants. Victoria's first big blunder politically is, of course, the Flora Hastings affair, and it is regrettable, but it really highlights to the reader how naive Victoria is. I found the line where the doctor says he found Lady Hastings Virgo intacta, but Victoria doesn't know what that means and keeps asking over and over if Lady Hastings is pregnant. Very funny. When Prime Minister Melbourne goes to the brothel but doesn't follow through or even pick a girl that looks like Victoria, I felt a little bit let down. We all like a little bit of sexy time in our historical novels, don't we? This book kind of felt as if it was written for a teen fiction audience sometimes. Did anybody else feel that way? We are now 1 year into Victoria's reign, and when Prime Minister Melbourne tries to step down, Victoria refuses to let a new government take power by insisting on keeping the ladies she has chosen from the Whig Party. This makes me see Victoria as incredibly selfish and spoiled, a child in women's clothing, and a very unlikable, unsensible queen. Then we get some plotting. The plotting that takes place between the Duke of Cumberland, Sir John Conroy, and the Queen's mother, the Duchess of Kent, is very enjoyable reading. I love court intrigue, and this, for me, was the best part of the whole book. It felt more grown up compared to some of the other stuff going on. When the marriage games start with Alexander, the heir to the Russian throne, Prince George, Victoria's first cousin, and Albert of Saxe-Coburg, another first cousin, with every court faction picking a side, it was nice, light reading if you enjoy historical fiction, but it wasn't heavy-hitting. It wasn't for the historical fiction connoisseur, only the historical fiction browser. However, I did enjoy reading all the fancy dress ball drama. I can't stress enough how much I dislike Albert as a character in this book. He is rude, he is abrupt, his manner is cold and austere. The cutting open of his jacket to place the flowers inside the jacket next to his heart was romantic, but in my opinion over the top, and I still find him incredibly boring. His condescending manner and attitude towards Victoria infuriates me. I know it's probably accurate of the time, but still, I don't like it. I much prefer reading Melbourne's POV about his hurt feelings in this part of the book. He is at least self-aware compared to Victoria and Albert, and that makes him as a character more refreshing. And then blah, blah, blah. Albert and Victoria get engaged. We all know what's coming, and that is where the book ends. I give this book 5 out of 10. It's not bad, but it's not brilliant either. It's very light reading. Like I said, it put me in mind of teen fiction. And you know what? I don't think I'm going to watch the TV show. I know people were ranting and raving about it when it came out, and I know it's now available on Netflix, but I think it will just annoy me, so I'm going to give it a strong pass. However, I did get some good recommendations by asking online about books based on Victoria's children. So I have those to read there in my must-read list, and hopefully I will be reviewing them here soon. If you guys are interested, I have reviews of The Young Victoria, Mrs. Brown, and Victoria and Abdul on this channel. I'm sorry I haven't been posting very much lately. I've just been really busy. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm going to try and get back on the posting train very soon and review all of Victoria's children's books that I can find. I also finished reading the Mists of Avalon series, which I really enjoyed, though it was a little bit outside my normal reading zone. And I've got a kind of review coming about that I've been working on for a while. It's more of a character study, so if you're interested in that, remember to subscribe as well. Until next time, bye! Hello and welcome to Jessie Bear Book Club, the only book club where we don't always talk about books. But today we are talking about a book. We are talking about The Most English Princess by Clair McHugh. This book is about Queen Victoria's oldest daughter, the Princess Royal Vicki. This book opens when Vicki is 6, and she is a sensible, intelligent little girl who is perhaps a little too full of herself. She adores her father, who dotes on her, and loves her mother, even though Queen Victoria can be overly critical of the little girl at some points. The emphasis on German politics is uttermost in Vicki's life, because it is Prince Albert's main preoccupation. As a history lover, I knew Prince Fritz was introduced early, as he was going to be the romantic partner of our English princess. Things move quickly, and by the time Vicki is 14, they are engaged, and Vicki is smitten with the older blonde giant. But politics are getting in the way of romance. Vicki and Fritz are married when she is 16, and the wedding night is sweet. Even though she is completely terrified, she adores Fritz, and he loves her. Vicki finds the move to Prussia very hard. She is very alone with no close friends or family apart from Fritz, and she finds the Prussian court very formal and old-fashioned. In short, Vicki is homesick. Vicki attempts to enter Russian politics, and that doesn't go very well. Her father-in-law shuts down any attempts she makes to bring up the subject and gets mad at her. Fritz is a soldier through and through and has little interest in politics outside the military capacity. Vicki's lack of influence angers her mother and father, who want her to act like an ambassador, but they are hopelessly out of touch with the real situation in Prussia. Vicki gets pregnant very quickly after the move, but the pregnancy isn't easy, with her falling over a few times, and her labor is excruciating, with the baby in breech position. While moving the baby, the doctor accidentally dislocates his arm, and poor baby Willie has no movement in his right arm at all. Vicki can't stop worrying about it and blaming herself for his injury. Vicki is scared to tell people about it because she is worried people are going to judge her, and puts off telling her parents about poor Willie's arm for as long as she can. The Prussian doctors are performing all types of weird treatment to cure poor Willie's arm, including putting his arm inside a freshly killed hare. Vicki is still incredibly homesick, and there are visits back and forth to visit her parents, and her parents come to Prussia. Vicki finds it very hard to make friends in Prussia, and basically has no political influence at all, which continues to anger her parents. When Vicki's father Albert dies, she is devastated, but finding herself pregnant again, cannot travel for the funeral. Weirdly, Vicki's father's dying leads to her becoming a full grown-up and thinking freely for the first time. But on the other side of that coin, Vicki now has her father Albert on a pedestal for everything a prince should be. Then Prussia goes to war, and Vicki has 2 more children. Fritz wins a decisive victory in Denmark and then a later victory in Austria, and Vicki gets heavily involved in nursing. She also takes a step back from politics after forcing Fritz to make a pro-liberal speech that nearly gets him thrown out of the line of succession, which really scares Vicki. Then it's baby, 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 though I do feel very sorry for Vicki when Ziggy dies. Her pain feels very real, and the fact that Fritz doesn't come home for Ziggy's funeral is heartbreaking. Now 30, Vicki is almost wishing for her father-in-law's death because she is so power-hungry. She now also fully embodies both her parents' worst qualities. Vicki drives her children far too hard academically, like Albert did, and nitpicks their looks the way Queen Victoria did. And she knows too. Some extent she is doing it, but can't help herself. Her oldest son Willie suffers the most of her wrath, due to his arm. Then the French War starts, all because a German cousin of Fritz's accepts the Spanish crown. I know, it sounds absolutely absurd and backwards when you say it out loud, but the war is very serious, and the largest Prussia has ever faced. So far, the king, Fritz's father, has no real interest in this war at all, which makes it even more upsetting, because this is all being forced forward by hateful politicians, and Vicki is powerless to stop it. Vicki continues to be very involved in nursing and loves it, but the war drags on and on. Even though France lost early, they will not surrender Paris, and it turns into a siege, and the city is eventually bombed. This is the first large-scale bombardment of a residential area, and it makes Prussia look really bad in Europe's eyes. Vicki feels looked down on by her English family for being part of this country that are committing war crimes. The war weirdly does have one upside, though. Prince Albert's dream of a united German state comes about, and Vicki's father-in-law becomes German emperor. And the book closes with a triumphant procession through Berlin, where Vicki finally realizes that all her mean-spirited comments to Willie have had an effect on her oldest son, and he doesn't value her opinion anymore or seek out her company. He refuses to take her advice because she has bullied him, and it kinda serves her right. Then there is an epilogue where Willie, now the deposed Kaiser in Amsterdam, ruminates about his mother and their problems, and how for his own wives he picked silly, frivolous women, the complete opposite of his domineering, intelligent mother, who was power-hungry. This book is amazing. 10 out of 10. I cannot wait to read Claire McHugh's next book. This was a masterful first novel. I think her next book is going to be about the Romanov sisters, and I'm really looking forward to it. I read this book straight after reading Victoria by Daisy Godwin, and I have to say this book is much better. I have another book I'm about to read about Victoria's daughter, Louise, and I think this might be a bit of a Victorian collection, and I might start a playlist on my channel about Victoria and her daughters if I can find more books on this subject, because I'm really enjoying it. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and leave me a comment with who is your favorite of Victoria's children, or who's your favorite of Vicki's children. And subscribe, because I have lots of books on historical fiction and romance and A Song of Ice and Fire and everything else you could wish for in a book club. Until next time, act like a very English princess. Bye!